very depressing, and it totally fits with biblical prophecy because it appears.
So this is your brother Radah. Before I get this lesson started, I want to give double honors. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash, and I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned this truth from, and a shalom to the hopeful elect and the elect, taking this 100% truth called the new song to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect of Yasharallah to the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is going to be a really quick lesson talking about how Esau, the so-called white man, when he speaks, he just speaks lies. He speaks blasphemies against the chariots, the holy host of heaven. He speaks blasphemies about Yahweh, the Most High, and his son Yahweh Shai, our king, our elder brother, and he speaks blasphemies against the actual Israelites because everything's based on a narrative that him and his ancestors had set. I believe that this dude right here and the guy that he's speaking with, I believe on some level they think they're speaking the truth, but they're completely deceived. I don't know if I'd be willing to go as far as to believe that they are actually elites, like high-level elites, illuminists, and that they understand the lies and that they're purposely teaching lies. It's just because they are Edomites and have no understanding and no wisdom, they're not able to understand the scriptures correctly. And this is just a real quick video I found on the internet, on TikTok, where, there's a belief system out there that misinterprets Genesis chapter 6 when it goes into the Nephilim and the sons of God. And they interpret that completely wrong, where they go into thinking actual fiery hosts of heaven fell from the sky, which we know that the angels cannot fall, and then they came down and actually had sex with women, which is absolutely impossible because of it's just not. It goes off on so many levels. For one, Yahweh is in complete sovereign control of the right hand and the left hand. He controls both the right hand and the left hand. There is not an angel on the left hand, and there's not an angel on the right hand that will do anything outside of Yahweh's sanctioning. And so, and Yahweh never sanctioned for an angel to have sex with a woman and to release seed. Angels don't have seed. And there's tons of precepts to back all this up. I don't want to get too much in a deep dive of that, but we know that there were 18 nations mentioned in Scripture, and they break down into three classifications. You have the righteous, which is Yasharallah or Israel. You have the heathen, which are all the heathen nations, and then you have the wicked, which is Esau. And so what Esau has done in his rulership is he has spread many fables, which now has the earth believes in a white Jesus rather than a melanated Yahushai. They are convinced that the chariots or UFOs are alien or operated by unattractive, deformed creatures, and that Satan, the actual prince demon spirit on the left-hand side, is the one that he's on the earth fighting Yahweh, the Most High, and Yahweh Shai, the one whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, that he's like on this, this rebellious, rogue war attack, because they're misinterpreting or they're misunderstanding Revelations 12, not knowing that the seven-headed dragon and that serpent and that devil and that Satan is referring to the Roman Empire, which is identifying Esau, Edom. They don't understand how to break down dark sayings. They read things in English and then just run with it and say, oh, that's what this means, and that's not what it means. They don't understand that when they see the devil or Satan fall from heaven, that is talking about a race of people falling from their position of rulership in the earth. And if you just go in the Lamentations, I believe it's Lamentations chapter 2, you see the same verbiage spoken about Israel. Israel falling from heaven. Was it Israel at one time in heaven? No, but Israel was in rulership when King David and King Solomon were on the throne. And then when judgment came because of disobedience, we lost our sovereignty. and we were scattered, and another nation took over, and we went into captivity. That is falling from heaven. And going into hell, we also know that hell is the grave, right? And hell is also defined as an extremely horrible situation on the earth. And Ecclesiastes, I believe, I think it's chapter 3, but I could be wrong. We also know that in Ecclesiastes, that judgment takes place under the sun. And so for anyone to think that an imaginary burning in hell, which doesn't take place, but you can get conquered by another nation and then go into captivity to that nation and be forced to have to eat that nation's diet, listen to that nation's language, and learn that nation's language when you didn't have to before. If you don't think that that is a hellish situation on earth, you're completely deceived. Because I don't know any American today, right now, in 2024, if tomorrow China were to come over here and take over America and completely seize control over America and change the entire vibration of America through force, that people wouldn't be committing suicide, that people wouldn't be losing their fucking minds, because that would be the definition of hell to a group of people who all their lives had been used to a Western American diet, a Western American theatrical system, a Western American media system. Everything that you can possibly think of that takes place in America, the creature comforts, if another country were to take control of this country and change everything about how people live life, from their dress to their food to their religious practice to how they wear their hair, they lose their fucking minds. And I'm not even doing a good enough job, but that's the definition of hell. And we also know that hell is explained in the book of Jonah. When Jonah was swallowed by the fish, he says in the book, I cried out from the belly of hell. Was he off planet in a dimension of burning fire forever? No. He was inside the belly of a fish for 3 days. Absolute darkness inside of the guts, the intestinal tract of a fish swimming around in the ocean. Couldn't see, no type of all sensory deprivation possible. That is crazy. And he called that hell. Hell is talking about a horrible situation on earth. Said all that to say this. Listen to what these guys are saying, and then I'm going to pull some precepts, and I'll be done.
Both gray aliens and reptilians are feeding on human bodies. That's one of the things that you learn. We need to get rid of these human traffickers. We need to get these aliens out of here, because they are demons. And it's worse than you think. It's a lot worse.
People, you'd be surprised how many people believe this shit. People absolutely believe this crap, man. This is what be operating in the congregation of the dead without no understanding of what Scripture says. This is what happens. You start to believe in these fables, and they start to take birth or take shape in your mind and grow, and it becomes an insane belief system. This is what these people are claiming to be Christians.
When you think, what's going on with the border? Most of those people are not going to become American citizens. That's what they call a meat wagon.
And so instead of blaming Esau for what's happening to the devouring of flesh, so we know, if you look in the comments, I put Wisdom of Solomon. So I did I said Edomites will blame anything and teach anything, but will never teach that they are the Edomites. And if you notice that, that's the truth. They'll talk about everything but them being the Edomites. The aliens, I put in quotation, he's speaking of are his own race of people, known in the Bible as the Edomites or Edom. Wisdom, and then I quoted Wisdom of Solomon, because this is an ancient practice that they are now taking up. Wisdom of Solomon 12:3, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land, verse 4, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices. Verse 5, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh and the feast of blood. So right there we see cannibalism, blood drinking, all the deep, dark, wicked, abominable practices that come with what the left-hand side does to human beings whenever they're trafficking them and sacrificing them and raping them and the adrenochrome and all that. It's all encapsulated in these precepts in the Apocrypha. Verse 6, Wisdom of Solomon 12, verse 6, with their parents out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. So there goes your child sacrifice, man. It's not uncommon, but without this knowledge and without this understanding, you get these weird doctrines of devils where they're coming up with all these fantastic fantasy type things, okay? And they're completely off. And I spoke, the UFOs are the chariots of the Lord. This guy is full of ish. Yahushua is coming back on a huge chariot with other angels and chariots, and they are trying to lie to the world about what the UFOs are. And so I'm gonna let him continue speaking.
And I heard about meat wagons all the way back in 2010. They let people through the border, they put them on a bus, they drive them into an underground base, and whatever happens from there.
We're very much aware of that. I wasn't going to get into that in this, but since you bring it up, it's confirmed through so many sources, people on the ground. We know that's happening. You're exactly right. And it's not just children, it's adults too.
If you look at, I can say things on Brighteon that I've never want to say on YouTube.
That's true, yeah. Well, welcome to Brighteon. Go for it, you know?
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. There's a movie called Jupiter Ascending. It was made by the Wachowskis, which...
If you guys haven't seen that movie, Jupiter Ascending, I strongly suggest it. It is an amazing movie. Lots of precepts. Of course, it's a left-handed production, but you can actually. I'm thinking about I think I'm gonna do a lesson off that movie. But yeah, I would suggest watching it.
They're the sisters who made the Matrix, right? I guess they identify as women now. So.
And the Wachowski brothers are the gentlemen that did the Matrix. They stole the Matrix. They started off as men, and I believe now both of them are transgender women.
When we see Jupiter Ascending, there's reptilians and there's grays in the movie, and the spindly little grays are also answering to these people who in the movie are humans, but they're human-looking extraterrestrials, and they work with the reptilians. And what you find out in Jupiter Ascending is that these human-looking extraterrestrials are soaking in a liquid bath that's made from human bodies.
So in the movie you see that, but we know by reading the precepts. I would go to it, but I've already posted it here. We also know by reading these precepts that drinking blood, adrenochrome, that there is some type of a practice that the left-hand side does, and they get some kind of power and possibly some type of physical health from operating in this very evil and very abominable practice. But Hollywood is attempting to say that this is an alien thing, that aliens do this, not people. And so we know, let's go here real quick. We also know that the Apostle Paul said in the last days, take heed to seducing spirits, right? In Doctrines of Devils. Doctrines of Devils. So let's pull this up. So yeah, so this is Timothy. Now the Spirit. This is Timothy 4:1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, and this is encompassing that whole lie of the sons of God and the Nephilim being fallen angels. When it's just talking about the seed line, it's just talking about the Israelites, the Son of God, in the pre-flood time, before we were called Israelites, because we understand that reincarnation is a reality, right? And the Most High has always dealt with a seed line, a chosen. He chooses. He has a nation that is his portion, and he has a nation that's wicked, and he has the heathen, right? So 1 Timothy 4:1 says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Okay? Verse 2, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. Forbidding to marry, this is verse 3, and commanding to abstain from meats, which the power of the Most High hath created to be received with thanksgiving. Talking about the Levitical diet, of which them which believe and know the truth. Verse 4, for every creature of the Most High is good, and nothing to be refused, if it be received with thanksgiving. So we know that we are in the last days. It's obvious, right? And so these doctrines of devils are going around. So let's pull up the Feast of Blood again. I'll pull it up here. Feast of Blood. And so we know that, according to Wisdom of Solomon, that it's not aliens, it's not reptilians that are operating in this, it's people. Because the precepts say, okay? We're going to go back. So Wisdom of Solomon 12:3, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land. So who used to dwell in the Holy Land? Was it reptilians? Was it aliens? No, it was people. It was heathen, right? It was the wicked. So, and in Wisdom of Solomon 12:4, whom thou hatest, why? For doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices. So we see the religious practice on the left-hand side is witchcrafts, which are operated by wicked sacrifices, right? Verse 5, and also those merciless murders of children. So what's he talking about here?
This is apparently what Greys have to do to survive. That's why their DNA is breaking down.
He's talking about, this dumbass is talking about Greys, when right here the precepts tell you it's people. And people are sacrificing their children. All right, verse 5, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh and the feasts of blood. Who's operating in this? Go back. All right, go back to 3. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the land. This is not talking about extraterrestrials. It's talking about people operating in these wicked practices of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, which then also what? And also those merciless murderers of children. This is child sacrifice. And devourers of men's flesh. There goes your cannibalism. But this isn't cannibalism because of famine. This is cannibalism due to the occultic rites on the left-hand side that requires them to have to do this kind of crap. And the feasts of blood. There goes your blood drinking. Verse 6, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. So it's the priest, it's the left-handed priesthood, right? And the parents offering this stuff up, offering their children up. And today, yes, you do have the sacrifice, but abortion also gets into this. So this dude is void of the knowledge and understanding of the precepts, and this is how he's speaking. He's speaking doctrines of devils.
Their genetics, they cloned themselves off the small subject pool, but the part that we don't know is that the way that they try to stay alive is by using human growth factors and stem cells. And we, as in our secret government, have made the Greys an alternative option that can keep them alive, but they don't.
So it goes into the old lie of the government has made a secret deal with these aliens, which no, they haven't made a secret deal with aliens. What they are doing though is they're working on the left-hand side with the left-hand Alahayim, and they themselves are Salakia, man, I forgot to turn this off. They themselves are offering up children and devouring men's flesh and doing feasts of blood. And because they're in the rulership seat right now, they're not going to investigate themselves. They're in control of all the authority figures all the lawful, the officers of the law and stuff, and so they can have everybody paid off, and everybody that they want to have in those high positions of power, they're all involved in human trafficking, so that they have an ongoing supply of sacrifices and blood and bodies for rituals. It's got nothing to do with aliens, but everything to do with Esau, Edom, the Edomites, the so-called white man, and whatever other wicked jakes, two-third jakes that want to be involved in that crap on a lower level, and the other heathen nations that are also involved in this crap. That's what this is. It's got nothing to do with some fantastic fantasy alien creature that doesn't even exist.
Like the taste. So there's still human trafficking. So like if you go back to the Tom DeLonge disclosures that happened in whenever that was, 2015-ish, or whatever year it was, I can't really remember now, maybe 2017, something like that. But anyway, when the Tom DeLonge stuff came out, they showed you these sightings from a UFO around the USS Nimitz. Remember that? Of course not. Okay, I'm going to tell you something really dark, and I'm sorry, but what's happening is that those UFOs are pulling up to corrupted U.S. military elements, and then they pick up their payment from the ship, if you follow what I'm saying by payment. They're picking up their payments. Our military is doing this. We took a crappy deal, we took a horrible deal, and we now have enough technology that we can actually get rid of these people and stop the payments. But in order to do that, we're going to need a civilian space force.
And the payments that they're giving take place on altars when they kill a human being. They're not getting picked up by no chariots, man.
A civilian-led, or at least a civilians with military, so that we can go against corrupted aspects of our own infrastructure that are actually cooperating with these.
And the reason why I say that is because they also have footage of the chariots, the hosts that are in those chariots, holding back the winds. And what I mean by that is bringing down rockets that they have sent up, satellites that they have sent up, rockets that they were testing. And they got documented footage of these hosts and the chariots coming up and sending out laser beams at all different points of the rocket, and then the rocket just falling out of the sky. So if this devil or these devils are going to lie and say, "Oh, well, we were giving," they're coming up to pick up their offering, and their holy, their chariots on the left-hand side. Which, come on, man, how do you explain what the chariots on the right-hand side are doing? I don't believe it's operating like that. They're telling you what they're doing, but they're masking it in all of this sci-fi when it's got nothing to do with that. It's just straight up left-handed Alahayim. It's not freaking ETs.
Beings and using this for their own sustenance, I guess. And when you know, I got a tractor driving right behind me.
No, it's okay. And then, Trump, of course, highlighted Space Force, and it's something that I think the Biden regime is trying to shut down. But politics aside, there are...
Also, another point, a lot of these Christians, a lot of these Edomite Christians are in fact Masonic Freemasons, 33rd degree level Freemasons, just like Billy Graham was. So they're like double agents. They're versed in the Western Renaissance Christianity that includes all of the lies that comes along with that doctrine, plus all this other spooky stuff, but they're actively involved in Freemasonry, but to act in public like these Christians, specifically to, on purpose, put these doctrines out there just to get a whole following of people that trust them as quote-unquote Jesus or Jebus-believing men. Oh, we trust these Jesus-believing men, when in fact they're just Freemasons purposely telling you lies to keep you further in darkness.
This, according to the sources I've spoken with, white hat sources inside military intelligence and also Space Force and so on, that are talking amongst themselves and to certain people about this battle is being waged right now. This is actually happening.
There is a war going on with the Draco right now, and Pete would talk to me about this, and he said that we were winning. There's about, from what Pete said there's about 3,500 of these ships out there that Ben built, at least, that we're using. And he said there's Americans all over the galaxy. He said that we have colonized 65 locations off planet Earth throughout the galaxy.
Are you hearing this madness? And people believe this. People believe Esau when he says some goofy shit like this. This goes back to when I remember before I woke up, I was following some of this stuff, listening to, what is it called, Q? You know, and they got this, there's always this top secret war that's going on with the good Edomites against the bad Edomites, and they can't tell you what's going on because the American people can't handle the truth. And so he's basically kind of doing the same thing, but now there's a secret group of Edomites who have UFOs, who have chariots, and they're fighting the Dracos, and they're winning. Come on, dude. It's like Battlestar Galactica, man. These devils will tell you anything but the fact that they are the Edomites of the Bible. They'll tell you everything and anything, but they're never going to tell you that they are Esau, man. This is crazy.
And that each one of these locations typically will have at least 3,500 soldiers there. So the big thing is to fight these reptilians.
So now you got a bunch of white boys in spacesuits somewhere. You got a bunch of fucking Edomites fighting lizard men. They can't even knock out Jake in the ring, but they're up in the sky somewhere in a fake UFO defending the planet from a bunch of lizard men. Come on, bro.
In fact, I just got a whole bunch of new information on the Draco today, believe it or not. They are distributed all throughout the constellation Draco. And apparently the reason the constellation Draco was named that way is because there's a lot of them out there. Right. So we are going to have to deal with this. We're going to have to deal with the human trafficking. We're going to have to stop. So what I'm trying to say, Mike, is that there's a direct through line between Gray's, Satanism, Illuminati, human trafficking, and extraterrestrial UFO sightings. Okay, let me explain this to you because I wanted to do this. So
I got to pull up a precept. And he was given a mouth to speak great things, blasphemies. Hold on, because that's what this is. When they speak incorrectly about the Alahayim, left hand or right hand or left hand, it's blasphemy. Because you got to speak according to what the precepts say. He was given a mouth. And so this tells you he was given a mouth to speak great things. So, and this is sanctioned, bro. This lets you know too that Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai has given Esau the mind, the heart, the ability to talk like this, which is so crazy that it's sanctioned by the Most High for this race, for this devil, for this man to talk like this. So look, Revelations 13:5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue for 42 months. Let's see if, let me see, hold on. Let me see, and that's okay. And there was given unto him a mouth, okay, speaking. All right, verse 6 also, right there. And look at this. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against who? Against the Most High, to blaspheme his name, which is what? Yahweh. But what does he say? He calls him Jehovah. He calls him God, right? He also changed we know that scripture says he's got woolly hair in the book of Daniel and in Revelations. It says he looks like a jasper stone and a sardine stone. And when you pull those two stones up, the color of both of those precious stones matches the color of pretty much any Judite, Benjamite, or Levite when you put those stones next to them, right? So, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the power of the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Who is that? His tabernacle are the actual Israelites, the northern and southern kingdom, your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And them that dwell in heaven, the Alahayim, both on the right and left-hand side in the chariots, by calling them grays, aliens, draconians, or whatever, or reptilians. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and we know that that's us, right? And to overcome them, and they have. And power was given him over all the kindreds and tongues and nations, and he has that with his sword, with his military, with his banking system, and with his media. So it's all coming together, and we know that this is the so-called white man. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain before the foundations of the world. And part of that worship is believing every freaking thing these people say. Because nobody is listening to Chinese people talk like this. Moabites, the Moabites don't talk like this. Moabites aren't righteous, but they don't talk like this. Nobody's listening to Hamites speak like this, the so-called African nations that are not Shemites, right? Nobody's listening to the Elamites. No one's listening to the other nations talk like this, but this specific race of people, which proves that they are this person right here.
Somewhere, but not on YouTube.
Understandably, yes.
So, Aleister Crowley arguably is the author of Satanism. The modern Satanism that the Cabal follows was created by Aleister Crowley. They love him.
So he's mentioning another Edomite, right? Aleister Crowley, who made all these works, did all these demonic practices, yet somehow aliens, and yet they're not the wicked? Somehow, I mean, you got all these Edomites involved in all of this insane, dark stuff that has infiltrated the earth globally, yet rather than these people tell you that they are the Edomites, they're going to talk about aliens. Come on, man, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, and I'm sure you know that. So what you may not realize is that Aleister Crowley was contacted by a being called Lam, L-A-M, and if you look up Lam, it's a gray, or it looks grayish. It's like a gray hybrid with more human-looking eyes. Lam is the being that taught Crowley how to do satanic ceremonies, how to summon beings like him.
So a gray alien taught an Edomite how to do satanic things, but that gray alien's not a satanic creature or a left-handed power. See, it's just these people it's crazy, bro.
Okay, which involves the sacrificing of life forms.
Which goes into wisdom or Song of Solomon, Wisdom of Solomon 12, which is explained all right here. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute for help. It tells you right there.
So the aliens brought this to us. You understand?
And the aliens are the left-handed powers. The left-handed Alahayim, known as Satan, and demons.
They want the elite to practice this, and an alien taught Crowley how to do Satanism. So these are demons. And you talk about this, Mike, but I'm just trying to connect some dots for you. So what then happens is...
Well, yeah, but just...
And so right there, he just contradicted himself. These are demons. Yes, they are. So that means everything that you're saying about the quote-unquote grays, as if they are just grays, is all BS. They're not grays. They're left-handed powers.
Just a second, if you don't mind me interjecting.
Sure.
Just to help connect the dots for the listeners here as well. So when we talk about globalists and the current spike protein release for human depopulation, or what I've called trying to transform the planet into a post-human future, this is just a subset of what you're talking about, which is the extraterrestrial, the evil extraterrestrials have come in and taught the globalists how to do this, and actually how to empower more invocations of those dark forces through the mass extermination and sacrifice of living, conscious human beings. Is that correct?
Right. So here's my understanding. Not all.
And that goes into he was given a great sword. Again, in Revelation, he was given a great sword. The one sitting on the red horse, given a great sword. And this is talking about, again, it's talking about Esau, given a great sword. Boom. So, and there went out another horse that was red. Why is it red? Because Esau means red and wasted away. And power was given, just like the red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelations 12 is also talking about the Roman Empire, which was established by the Edomites. You have to understand this. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him from who? The Most High. But Esau tells you everything he does is off of his own whiteness and his own ability, his own intelligence. And power was given him to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Who's been at war with everybody since they've been in power as America? The little horn, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. This is all talking about them, you guys.
Greys are doing this. Okay, so I want to make.
And you will know a tree by his fruits. Men are likened unto trees. And the fruit of our lips giving praise. What's coming out of their lips? Listen to what these dudes are talking about. Look how crazy it sounds, right? And they haven't mentioned one precept yet. They have not mentioned one scripture. They're just talking like they always do for hours about a topic like they always do, and people just extol everything they say to the heavens. It's insane, but it goes back into the power. They were given power right here, and look, and he was given, and power was given to him. So power was given to him to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was a great sword given to him. And when was power again? Look at the other one. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue for. So the Most High has been given this nation of people power to do what? All this madness.
Make that clear. There appear to be other. I mean, obviously we're in a huge galaxy and everybody looks human, so there's going to be humans that have big eyes that are not evil. However, one of them.
You just have to understand on the right-hand side the correct doctrine, so that you don't get swept up in this delusion, because the Most High will also send strong delusion to those people he has rejected, that they believe the lie. That's also in the scriptures. This is why a healthy, correct understanding of the new song, which is the 100% truth, the 100% doctrine, which is only learned by the elect, and the 1/3 innumerable multitude who listens to the elect, that's the only group of people who are not going to get swept away in all this insanity. Listen to what these guys are saying, man.
Main contingents of Greys that are here, that are working with our secret government, they require human protein to survive, or so they think. But they like the taste. They soak in it like a bath. I don't know how they prepare it. I don't know. They don't need. So the Greys apparently don't need Satanism to be involved in the preparation of the food. But the reptilians do. The reptilians, they prefer to eat meat, whereas the Greys actually do kind of like a blended human shake.
A human smoothie, yeah, got it.
So that's very. I'm sorry to talk about this, but I feel like I got to get this out somehow.
He says, and I'm such a trustworthy guy, right? Don't what is it? Hold on. Because they always present their lies with such, gosh darn it. They always talk like, by golly gee, Wally, oh my God. They always come off as so quirky, right? But dude, these guys are wicked. Though he go crouching, Let me see. His words were smoother as butter. Let's do that one first, and then we'll be done with this. His words, because they always sound so painless. They never cuss. They don't raise their voice. Their beards are shaved. They seem so and so nice. I'm just a white dude, right? Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Why? Because everything he is saying is a fucking lie. It's all deception. And because of the power that's been given to him, people just listen to this fucker when he talks. It's gotta be true. Though he go crouching. Let's check it out. Trust not thy enemy, right? I think. Let me see. Okay, Ecclesiasticus 12:11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Who is this talking about, you guys? The Ecclesiasticus, okay, the Apocrypha, the scriptures, the prophets, right? The scrolls were given to who? The Israelites. So this is talking about all the heathen nations, because we have no friends among them, and mainly the wicked, Esau, Edom. So he humble himself and go crouching, and there's no nation on the earth that has proven to fit this precept more than anyone other than the so-called white man. Though he humble himself, hey, by golly, gee, beef, golly, Wally. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Look at the next line. Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And what is Esau doing on the earth now? He's acting like he's the prophets. He's acting like he's the apostles. He's acting like he's the oracles of the Most High. He's in our place, and everybody's listening to him. Oh, this man's so deep. He's so intelligent. We trust him, and everything coming out of him is deception. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Verse 13, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? What is one of Esau's names, you guys? The serpent, and then later the dragon. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? And he is likened unto a beast because he is lawless. And we know nations that have no law are likened unto a beast, because our King David says that in the Psalms. I was like a beast, when talking about being lawless. Verse 14, so none that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So don't listen to his doctrine. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. So now let's listen, and we'll be done.
If something happened to me, I wanted to make sure everybody knows this. So I don't think anything will, but
Well, if you don't mind me interjecting again,
sure.
Let's remember that a couple of U.S. states have legalized the liquefaction of dead human remains to be flushed into the municipal sewer systems, which is collected by, trucks, and it's called then biosolids, and it's spread onto the farms to be used as fertilizer. And this is something that we've documented extensively. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because this recycling of kind of like the Matrix, where the living are ground up and fed, the dead are fed to the living, which was in the Matrix 1999, this is actually happening even without the other things that you've just mentioned. So for anybody watching,
the Wachowski movie Jupiter Ascending talks about it,
right?
And then Cloud Atlas, right? They got the soap, which is a human drink that they're drinking.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, if anybody watching this is saying, oh, this couldn't possibly be true, go look up Washington state law about disposing of human remains in the sewer system. That was legalized, I think, 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know that. That's disgusting.
Well, it's part of the
It's a Mike
biosludge.
Adams show. You got to expect anything when you get on with Mike Adams.
Well, no, you're hitting me with all kinds of stuff I didn't know, so keep going.
Well, I want you to know this because everybody in your community, my community, our community, you know, we're talking about Christianity, we're talking about demons, and I want to make some dots connect, okay?
You see how insane? We're talking about Christianity, and what did they just speak about for the last 20 minutes? Whew.
So that you understand that what the Bible was talking about is absolutely true.
And he didn't bring up one precept the entire time. Do you see? You guys got to look at this race of people, man. Now he's mentioning the Bible. He spoke for about 20, 30 minutes. He didn't bring up one precept. But now he's bringing up the Bible again. Just like on the paper money and on the quarter. In God we trust. That's all they had to say. In God we trust. And people are just like, oh, this is a righteous man. No, dude.
So the Greys apparently don't need the victim to be tortured at all. They could take any human. It doesn't matter. But with the Draco, they really need the victim to have suffered.
So he mentions the Bible and goes right back into Greys and Dracos. So the hypocrisy of these people and the people who listen to them, that they will believe this stuff, but they will reject Yahweh Shai. They will reject the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. They will choose to still believe in the name of God or Jesus. They will reject the fact that Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai are melanated men or melanated powers with woolly hair. They will reject the truth that the northern and southern kingdom are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And of course, we were scattered. And we also look like the heathen nations, including even so-called white people because of the scattering. But they'll reject that truth. They'll reject the Apocrypha. They'll reject the correct doctrine of the Bible, the 100% truth, the new song, but they'll believe in these fables and they'll believe in these devils teaching these doctrines. This is the hypocrisy, and this is also the controversy of Zion, man, and this is the wrath that is going to be poured out upon them through Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. He is coming back with vengeance in his heart because of this madness, man. I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honors and praise to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from, and a shalom to the hopeful elect, bidding the hopeful elect, the elect of Yasharallah to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Yahweh Shai is coming back. This is your brother Radah. Shalom.